In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Hans and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things, and it's called Best Gen because we all are roughly from the same generation, and we happen to think that it's the best one, not because we as people is better, but because our entertainment and movies sure as hecko were. So strap on in and prepare to wax nostalgic as we reminisce upon the days of yore, while simultaneously complaining about the filth, stupid, dumb movies. They're coming out right now. How's everybody doing?
What up, y'all? Sorry if I'm a little slow on the movement. I slept on my neck wrong.
Oh no!
Yeah, we're getting to be that age, right?
That's the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, I slept on my neck wrong, and I'm like, I can't. There's my range of movements.
Mark Clark says it's a wild Corwin sighting.
I know, and he's going to be super effective for the next hour.
A wild Corwin appeared.
Yeah, we're joined by Corwin, who shows up when he can. The Angry Mexa, you know him, you love him. David from Shelf Help Gaming, I guess that's still a thing. And the two Jareds. We got a wonderful show for you tonight where we're not going to talk a whole lot about what we were supposed to watch because nobody watched it.
If that.
Be proud of me. I did.
I did watch the first episode.
Really?
Not really.
This has been some of the better stuff that they've had on there.
I went through all of the past 3 episodes of Rick and Morty, so...
Oh right, Rick and Morty's back, isn't it?
It is.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk a little bit about Loki. We'll talk about some Rick and Morty. We'll talk about there's a lot of news. It'll be a chill stream. But next week we'll have Invincible season 2 to talk about, which there's finally I hope it's still good. If it's not good,
yeah,
it's gonna be just the worst year of entertainment.
Yep.
What?
I actually think because I need to. I'll sometime in this next couple weeks. I'll be catching up on Adam Eve since I missed that when we actually talked about it. So
yeah, I still haven't seen that either.
What have we had this year? One Piece? Is that it? Is that the only good thing?
As far as TV shows,
Vox Machina
Yeah.
season 2.
It was mediocre.
Yeah.
But it's better than everything else that's been coming out.
That's true.
I feel like Vox Machina is good, by comparison, right? Just because everything, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I really liked.
I think it looks better
Ahsoka.
because it's next to everything else we've been watching.
Yeah.
Articus, thanks for joining the stream. He says he's boycotting Rick and Morty for the Justin Roiland crap. I agree. I agree
with you as well.
It was insane. They immediately fired him before like any facts came out, and then all the facts came out, and it turns out he was acquitted of everything. So,
Yep.
and he was fired from literally everything, like his own company, all of
Gaming
the
company.
TV shows he created, his game company,
Mhm.
just over.
Yeah, it's pretty
They
insane.
cancel the sequel High of Life. I enjoy that game, you know. It's enjoyable when you play while you're high. You know, that's why it's called High on Life. No, but it is a funny game, you know, overall. It's one of those games just to, you know, play while you're waiting for food or while you're waiting for your belly to set up, you know, after you ate. I don't know. It's egregious what they did to him.
Modern TV is an STD. That's how I feel.
That rhymes.
We got Nerdporial is reminding everyone to watch my video from this week, which I'm really proud of. Where I clown on Daniel Green a little bit.
Yeah. It hasn't gotten a whole lot of views, but you're getting some interaction in the comments.
It's got like 100% interaction.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of views for obvious reasons, but suppression. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, for a video with the kind of interaction it's getting, like it should be at least 1,000.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It was good. It was very well articulated.
Yeah, I've got some. If we want to talk about it, I've got some crazy, just unhinged comments that we could break down. If we want to get more into rhetoric and logic, we could break down people's comments saying that my logic was bad by not giving any examples of logic.
Yeah. Or in one case, there was an example that went on quite rambling and didn't make
I know the one you're talking about.
Anything, yeah.
In that, they literally brought up an example that I made in the video to say that I didn't say that it. I was like, that's why I brought it up, was to say this is an example. And they're like, you never brought up any examples, by citing what I brought up as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't really know why I made that video. Like I said at the beginning, like I felt like I had to. Like I took personal. I don't know. It felt like a very personal attack, and he literally didn't say anything that was true, and so I felt like I needed to correct that.
Yep.
And it's sad. It's sad. Like I got his books, man. I really liked the guy, and I completely unsubscribed from his channel when he made that video.
Wait, so he made a video about you?
No,
No.
So I guess it's been 2 videos ago. His nerd news. What's it? Fantasy news. He had a segment where he talked about banning books in schools, and made a whole bunch of really generalized statements, and he basically said all Christians are bigots. And
Yahtzees.
and Yahtzees, yeah. So I responded to it. It's a really good video. Anyway, let's talk about nerd stuff before we get into politics. Like, this should not be a political issue. Just stay away from my kids, okay? Like, the fact that this is that it's been politicized is disgusting. But
everything is politicized these days, including Matthew Perry's demise. You know.
Mark Clark started Lightbringer book 4. I was gonna say Wheel of Time. Mark Clark's
I
on
started Wheel of Time book 4.
Mark Clark's on Lightbringer book 4, which is my favorite one.
Nice.
I was gonna say that's where he started, right? He didn't read 1, 2, or 3. He started on that, right?
No, for once he's actually starting at the right place. He started at one.
What?
David is
That's
reading
ridiculous.
Wheel of Time book 4. And Corwin, did you finish? Are you on 5 yet?
I'm on 5.
Yeah,
baby.
I am also on 5. I finished.
I started listening to Lightbringer book 1.
Nice.
Good man.
So,
Everyone should read Lightbringer.
a fun time.
Articus,
Yep.
loved Lightbringer series. You should watch our like 10-hour discussion on it because it was great.
It wasn't quite 10 hours, but
It was
long.
way longer than it should have been. All right, Cor, let's. I can't do it. I can't go stream without talking about the Wheel of Time. I want to know, Corwin, how you feeling? How you feeling about the Wheel of Time? Book 4.
Book 4 has been my favorite book so far.
It's
Really?
Book 5 is better.
Book. If I had to rate them, I was not a big fan of book 2.
Really?
Yeah, I was not a big fan of book 2.
Goodness.
Until the ending, though, right?
Yeah, the ending was good, but I mean,
Yeah.
it took 800 pages to get there.
Yeah.
So like, I wasn't. Book 1, I liked book 1 a lot.
Book 2 is kind of just another book 1 until the ending, and then you're like, whoa, wait a second, that's
Yeah,
different.
Book 2 is until the ending. Book 3 is. I think book 3 was probably for me the most difficult of them because you had Rand. So as you don't know, Rand is like he's the main character, right? Rand Althor, the Dragon Reborn. Yep. He's the main character all through book 1, and
disappears in the first chapter.
And then book 3, he disappears in the first like 50 pages, and then you don't see him again until the very end, and so that's a little rough.
I loved it. I loved it. It was so clever. It worked so well for me.
It was good, but it was just very, very jarring that there wasn't even there's like 2 pages where you're Rand throughout the whole book. Like it would have been nice if there was a little bit more, just because it's like suddenly you get completely cut off from a character.
There are 2 like interludes in the middle of the book where you get like 1 page from Rand. Like, oh, what? Yeah.
You get to see him in dreams, and then you cut to his perspective, and it wasn't. What was happening in the dream was real, and that's about it. Then it goes back to the other characters,
right? And then
Nerporeal's on book 4 too. Or no, wait,
book 4 is really good. That one so far has been my favorite.
Really?
Yes, it has been my favorite. Because you're now invested, and there was a reason why book 3 had to dive off from Rand.
Yeah,
because you had to be invested in the characters such as Perrin and Matt.
And Matt was really good, yeah.
I really like book 4. The battle at the end was really fun. The battles prior,
the Osmodian, right? That's the
the battle at the end is Perrin
and the White Cloaks.
White Cloaks. Two Rivers.
Oh, at the 2 Rivers, right?
2 Rivers, yeah.
Yeah, but Rand
really good. I still can't stand. I find myself skipping these chapters quite a bit, unfortunately, just skimming through them. I cannot stand anything with Nynaeve in it. Anything with Nynaeve. Anything at all. A chapter starts with her as one of the main characters because it's her and Elaine going off to run, doing an adventure. I skim through it because just seeing her name pisses me off.
Also,
I was going to say, how much of that has to do with the Wheel of Prime versus your actual experience?
No, the entirety of it. Like that's the one thing I will say they did. I mean, we could go on about this forever. But the character Nynaeve from the show and from the books, personality wise, I mean, they did a lot of things. Personality wise is very similar.
The writing and character arcs that they give them in the show is different, but I feel like she does good with the role, like the actress.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I can't stand her. Someone just needs someone just needs to punch her in the face. Like, someone just needs like when she's running around being like, I'm an Aes Sedai, I'm an Aes Sedai, I'm an Aes Sedai, and she's accepted, and people like save her life multiple times, and she's like, you're just this terrible, evil, awful man. Like I would just love for Matt to just punch her in the face like multiple times, like someone to just knock her on her butt and be like, you are such a jerk. But yeah, she's a terrible individual.
Yeah,
I'll probably be dropping out a little early, so depending on what you're looking for room for Emporial, but I think you probably got room.
Yeah, I got room. I'll send you a link.
But no, book 4 is really good. So for those, I'm starting book 5. I'll be done with book 5 in about 2 weeks, just because of my reading schedule, if not a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I just finished book 4. I think I'm surprised that you said that this was your favorite one, because I think this is my least favorite of all of them. Just because, like what you said, with Nynaeve and Egwene are off doing their thing, and I don't know why they're doing it. It wasn't clearly explained to me.
Nynaeve and Elaine.
In Elaine, what did I say? Did I say Egwene?
Egwene, yeah.
Nynaeve and Elaine are off doing their own thing, and not a whole lot happens. Like, the most exciting thing is they talk to someone that, it's revealed that.
I was going to say, probably because he's skipping the Nynaeve chapters. Is
Well,
why
probably that. But yeah, I didn't find that compelling. I thought the first part of the book, some of the relationships that were built were really awesome. I love the continuation of Matt's arc in this book. It continues perfectly from book 3, and it's really awesome, and some really cool things happen to Matt. And then Rand is like in the desert forever, and he's proclaimed himself, and another sign happens, and that's awesome. And then like nothing happens, and he even says, "Oh, I'm going to do something with these Aiel that they're not going to like," and then it's just they're in the desert forever, and nothing happens until the end. So I was just kind of like, I was loving it, and then like halfway through the book, it just kind of petered off to me until the ending again. So I don't know.
I can't agree, because there's a couple of times. Sometimes the pacing is a little.
Yeah, the pacing
awkward.
was really weird in this one.
For example, like at the beginning when they're in Tyr, Rand says, "I'll reveal my plan to everybody tomorrow." Like he says, "Well, I'll reveal everybody tomorrow." 300 pages later.
Yeah, exactly.
Get back to Rand.
Exactly.
Goes off. That was like I counted it. I was like, all right, I am at page 298, 299, 300. There it goes, Rand. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I'm with Mark Clark on this. I think Shadow Rising so far is my favorite.
Yeah, I love
it slows. Shadow Rising slowed down a little bit. That is where the series shifts from quest fantasy to like political intrigue.
And I think that's the reason why I didn't like 2 as much, because everyone was talking about, not oversold it, but everyone was like, "Oh, this 2 is like, the great game. It's the Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones."
Yeah.
It has nothing. It has very little to do with the book. Like extremely. Yeah.
That's true, but I love the stakes in book 2. Like they've got to find the horn, and Rand doesn't even care about the horn. He cares about getting the dagger to save Matt and to heal him, And I don't know. I really like. And then Matt's.
Nerporial, I sent you an invite on Discord.
So,
if you want to join.
Anyways, so I'm starting book 5 now, and book 5 is great so far.
I will be finished probably this week.
Shadow Rising was that's book 4 is Mark Clark's favorite. Book 4 is very good, but I think it's almost universally considered that book 5, Fires of Heaven, is the best Wheel of Time book.
Really?
It's not universal. Like, obviously there's that, people are going to freak out and argue about that.
But it's a highly rated one. Huh?
The majority of people that I've seen consider book 5 as the best Wheel of Time book.
Nice.
What's up, Nerporial?
What's up? I figured you guys were talking about Wheel of Time because I read 4 full chapters of the Shadow Rising today, so I kind of
nice.
I need to vent.
It kind of sounds like you and David are in the same boat where you felt it kind of got a little too boring, too slow.
Here's my thing. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been doing book club streams with Prophet of the Dragon Pips.
Oh yeah, I know.
White Cloaks and Man Manethrim. So we've been covered. I just last week we just did our first one for Shadow Rising, covering first chapter up to the Stone Stands. Mm-hmm. I love the Stone Stands. The only thing I think that he should have done, and I hate to say this about Robert Jordan, but he should have killed off a named character in the Stone Stands.
When they didn't go with him or whatever. That's the chapter where they pledge allegiance to the
That's the episode
Right.
where the attack happens and everybody's it's a battlefield inside the stone, and he sees people getting killed left and right. He sees a child gets killed. He tries to raise the child back from the dead,
Ooh,
and he can't do it. And that was a really poignant part.
Oh,
it's a really good scene.
I forgot about that. That's really.
And Landfear is there,
Oh.
and
I got rant about the show. Okay, bringing up that scene. That's like one of the most pivotal like beats in the Wheel of Time is that Rand is so powerful he can do almost anything except the one thing he wants, which is to raise people from the dead. Like having to deal with, he's constantly trying because he's like, I have so much power, I should be able to do this. It's not the first time he tried. It's not the last time he tries to bring someone back to life, and he it never works. And the show just
I'll say this: like the
show just brings people back to life left and right.
The bubbles, the
bubbles of evil.
The bubbles of evil. I am still trying to get used to this. I'm listening to. So I actually, right after I finished Dragon Reborn, like last spring, I started listening to the first 2 chapters of the Shadow Rising. First chapter felt like a prologue, even though it wasn't a prologue. It was interesting. You know, we got to see the viewpoints of other characters, see what's brewing in other parts of the world. And then we get back to our heroes. And one of the issues I had with the Dragon Reborn is that it had an awesome prologue where you had Pedro Nile and you had Pedro Nile and Ordith, and then later Jacob Carradine, and then you find out Jacob Carradine is being threatened by a Fade to kill Rand al'Thor. Yeah. And I was hoping that would pay off in the Dragon Reborn, and it didn't. I mean, we just heard a few, there was cases of a few redheads getting murdered or something, but it wasn't really part of the story. So I was kind of disappointed there. And I was just like, I'm thinking like, how many books ahead are we planting these chapters? I'm like, that's why when I go into reading these books, I'm like, I'm not sure if it's going to pay off now or if it's going to pay off 5 books from now, from based on my discussions with several people.
That feeling's not ever going to go away.
And then, I mean,
series.
So this Doorways chapter that I just read, Dane, you guys know Dane, right? He was on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Dane's like, read this chapter. This will hook, line, and sink you into the Shadow Rising. I was like, okay, I'll take him at his word. I'm reading it. I'm like, this is okay. This is somewhat interesting. And then he asks them, this is a Matt chapter. He goes in the doorways. He meets these snake people.
So good.
And he asks these questions, and they give him more prophecies. And at this point, I'm kind of sick of all these prophecies. It's like, hey, there's more up ahead. Stay with me. This is Robert Jordan's way of saying, stay with me. I'm just like, come on, just.
The payoff is worth it though. It's
so is this the first doorways he goes into?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a first. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Dane told me that there's going to be more to it in the future.
This is the one where he gets to ask questions. The other one he gets to ask boons.
So that's where I left. So that's where I left off. So that's a chapter where I'm at. So
I think this is the genius of it though, because we all know Robert Jordan passed away. He couldn't finish it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he already knew. Some authors, and there's multiple authors that have said this. For example, take like Aragon series. I can't remember. Dave Papaloni, Aragon, Elvis.
Christopher Paolini.
Yeah, Christopher Paolini. He said in his, he was like, I knew where I was going. I had the storyline, but then I wanted it to be 3 books, but then I realized I couldn't, so I had to make up a 3rd book, or the 2nd book had to be the 3rd book, and we had to do things. And there's other authors that have said similar things to that, including George R.R. Martin. I mean, I think the only reason why he hasn't completed his is because he doesn't know what the freak to do, and he's enjoying the royalty checks from Game of Thrones.
He doesn't need money.
And his stories are really complicated. He
really wrote himself into a corner.
Right, and I guess what I'm saying is because they were complicated. Robert Jordan had all these planned. He had book 9 planned while he was writing book 2.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He had
Martin-
everything planned
and Martin
clear
didn't.
up there. That way he gave such extensive notes to Brandon Sanderson. He told him like this is what it is. This is all this stuff, and Brandon Sanderson enough notes that Brandon Sanderson could finish all the payoffs, all the everything it was.
Yeah,
So
Jordan.
that's pretty
Correct me
impressive.
if I'm wrong, but I actually thought he gave him I think he only got like a 1-page thing.
No,
No.
According to
No, it was
Sanderson,
one
according to
book
Sanderson, there was an epilogue already written.
The last chapter of the series was written by Robert Jordan, and it had been written for a long time.
And I think there might have been some notes that he took, but then when he got really sick, he was telling Harriet orally what was to happen.
Yes.
And I think, but there were still a lot of holes that Sanderson
Yes.
needed to fill. And I don't think he could, based on what people are saying, like Dane and others, that he wasn't able to really do it. But he did better than we should have gotten.
He had copious world building notes that Sanderson had to pour
That might
through
be the
and
point.
just
Yeah.
absorb, and he dictated to Harriet, but he basically had an outline of where the pieces were supposed to go and where they end up. He'd written
That
some of
makes
that,
sense.
and he had to dictate some of that to his wife as he was dying.
Yeah.
Such a but there were some characters whose outlines were just a couple lines.
Yeah.
Like Matt specifically did not have a lot outlined, and that's why a lot of people agree it was Brandon's weakest character, because he didn't know 100% what he was supposed to be doing with Matt.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But honestly,
I remember
so
hearing
far,
something along those lines where that tracks a little bit more with what I said. There
So
were lots of notes
Sanderson
on
knew the
but-
direction for most of the characters. He had to come up with some himself, but he had to fill in like all the dialogue and all the meat, right?
Yeah, he had to write. But
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive considering how many did he write? What was he wrote the last
He wrote the last three.
right?
so
Yeah,
I think
Well,
Jordan
and-
would have
and-
written 5. Jordan would have written
Well,
5.
Jordan
if he
told
would
him
have.
like, "Hey, all right, take one book to wrap this up," and Sanderson came back and said, "I need at least 3."
So the plan. So he was probably going to write 5 more books. When he found out he was dying, he said, "Okay, I'm going to try and end it in one," and started
right.
planning for it. He wrote he wrote The Knife of Dreams, and that was I don't know if he knew he was dying before then, but he'd planned out after Knife of Dreams. Once he realized he wasn't going to make it through 5 books, he's like, I'm just going to finish it in 1. But there was so much to do. Even if you listen to Brandon Sanderson's introduction to the Gathering Storm, he says you can look at these 3 books as either 3 books or 1 book. Like it was supposed to be just 1, but it's way too big, so it's 1 book broken up into 3. If you want to consider it 3 books, it is, but it's also just 1 book.
Because your name was originally The Memory of Light, and then I think Sanderson came up with the other 2 names.
Yes.
Gathering Storm and the Towers of Midnight.
Yeah.
Yep.
But honestly, like so far in my read, I still think book 2 is the most, in my opinion, the most compelling of the story so far.
I agree with you.
Especially them pursuing Pat and Fane,
Mhm.
and then them finding what Pat and Fane's capable of, and then just retrieving the horn. Just them retrieving the horn from Pat and Fane's camp, them sneaking in. I thought that was awesome. And I don't know how you could not incorporate that into a TV show. Like
Right.
Game of Thrones directors at least put the best parts of books 4 and 5 in seasons 5 and 6.
right.
You know, like they don't even put the best parts of those books in the show. Like, what is the point of the show?
The thing that made it so cool was, normally if you're hunting for a MacGuffin, you spend the whole show looking for the MacGuffin, and finally at the end you find it. This one, they find it, they get their hands on it right away, and the rest of the book they have to keep it out of the hands of the bad guys for the whole thing. It was brilliant. I loved it, and they lost track of it a couple times. They had to get it back, but I don't know. I really liked it, and the stakes were awesome, and the finale was just friggin-tastic.
I don't know if if
really
you actually have the opportunity to read through those notes. That's awesome. Or if this is just a wish list thing, I wish you luck. But that'd be really cool to pour through those notes for sure.
Yeah.
And Wheel of Time's great.
The more I read the books, the
definitely-
more I hate the show, though. The more
Yes,
I read, the
absolutely.
more I already hated it before, but now that I'm actually reading the books, the more I read them, the more I'm just like,
Yeah.
and
The
everyone
Lanfear-
involved in it.
when Lanfear appears as Lanfear, I couldn't help but think of the actress.
Yeah.
That's
I didn't think of Celine
of-
on the.
I'm
When
so
they
sorry.
talked when they brought her when they call her Celine, I think of the way Celine looks in the cover, the original cover of The Great Hunt.
Uh-huh.
But then when they bring up Lanfear, I couldn't help but think of the actress that plays her in this, but without like
you
you
think
know
of
with all
the 40-year-old metrosexual?
yeah the one that shows too much emotion and acts too human, and less forsaken. Less like an immortal Forsaken, you know,
Yeah,
because
and she's-
an immortal Forsaken would act differently than a regular human.
In the book, she's so awesome and mysterious at first. She just like keeps popping up in random places, trying to get Rand to, you know, search for glory and to, you know, and he keeps popping up and helping. But then she's mysterious and like, who is this person? And then slowly more and more is revealed. And even after you find out she's Lanfear, some of the other characters don't know that yet. So you run into her again, and you're like, oh no! It's just it's so well done. And then the show they're just like, oh yeah, she's Lanfear, run.
I figured I figured out right away that Celine was Lanfear because they bring up Lanfear, you know, in the beginning of the Great Hunt with the Dark Prophecy, and then all of a sudden there's this woman that they find in the other world, you know, Rand,
pretty obvious,
Loyal, and Huron, and they meet this woman. And who feigns to be a damsel in distress, but then when the creature is dead, she just walks by it like it's nothing, and then she basically ignores everyone else except for Rand, like they're nothing.
Yeah, it's not.
And I got some Emperor Palpatine vibes from that.
I did
I was
too.
like, this is obviously an extraordinary person, so I assumed this was Lanfear because who else would it be? It was set up.
It's not really supposed to be a big mystery. Like it's very obvious to that. Like my wife is read through the series and she was like, why do they keep why is no one suspicious of Celine? It's supposed to be very obvious to the reader, hey, this there's something off with this girl, and it's upsetting and unsettling because the boys trust her completely, but that is all on purpose because she's using compulsion.
There's one thing I'm waiting for with Lanfear. In the beginning of The Dragon Reborn, Min tells Perrin, if you see the most beautiful person in the world, run.
Yes.
And so far, Lanfear has encountered Egwene, has encountered obviously Rand and Loyal, and has also encountered Matt. So
don't worry. She has stuff to do with Perrin in like book 12. So I'm not joking. She meets Perrin eventually.
Oh man, I was hoping it'd be in this book or.
I can't. It's been a while because I'm in my reread. I need to start book 4. So, I can't remember if they meet earlier, but their big arc is much later.
Yeah, one of the prophecies or one of the answers that he gets in the doorways is something I accidentally found out. I accidentally found out.
It's really hard reading the series now because there are so many characters, and you want to like look up on Wikipedia. It's like I don't remember who this character is, like for disambiguation, and you can't look up anything without getting massive spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough. Yeah.
I had 2 characters' fates ruined for me. I was like, and then throughout the whole series, I knew that this person was going to die, and I was just like,
Now, Tech, you started reading the books after the show came out, right?
No,
I did.
Oh, when did you start reading?
I've read 6 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that sounds about. That's when I actually read the first book the first time because I was looking for a new fantasy series to get into after I read, Song of Ice and Fire, which is right there. There's my Wheel of Time stuff right there. I got the first 8, but I was looking for another series. I read the first book and I was just like, compared to Song of Ice and Fire, this is extremely tame. I was just like, it felt like a full story. I felt like what breadcrumbs were there to? I mean, there were breadcrumbs that I just didn't really pick up on, but there wasn't a whole lot grabbing me into the next book. So I just I went and read something else, and then I forgot what happened in the Eye of the World, and I just didn't bother with the Great Hunt. And that's, I mean, to me, that's a big mistake because Great Hunt is awesome.
Yeah. We probably talked about the Wheel of Time for too long.
That's why I came on. I came on to kind of to vent.
It's just wonderful. And the reread is better because I'm rereading right now.
How far are you?
And there's so much stuff. I've done the first 3 books, so I'm rereading one before each. I'm trying to keep up with the season, but there's no point in doing that because they're not adapting the books. So
nope.
Yep.
That's
what I did too.
But
I forced
stuff.
myself to stop after book 3, and then in the middle of this season, I'm like, "What's the point? I'm just going to start."
But the reread is better. The reread is so much better because, like you said, he is no George R.R. Martin. Like, he knew a lot of this stuff, and there's stuff literally in the first book that I had no idea was there, but it gets paid off 15 books later, and you're like, "This is
what Dane says.
This is insane."
Yeah.
Articus read Sanderson Mistborn a few years ago. Now you own and have all of his books, the entire Wheel of Time, all of Brent Weeks, Mark Lawrence, and a bunch more. Yep. I want to try out Brent Weeks' other books that aren't Lightbringer, but I've got so much to get to
like
first.
A Night Angel or something, right?
I do like Mark Lawrence too. The Red Sister was good. I liked the what was the series called? The Crown of the Prince of Thorns and the King of Thorns and the Emperor of Thorns. I don't remember what the series was called. A lot of people didn't like those, but I thought they were interesting. The first book is hard to get through, but second book was my favorite. I'm reading tons of books. Love it. Wheel of Time is good. Show is dumb, and I guess we got to talk about Loki.
Okay, I haven't watched Loki, so maybe I'll just bow out here.
All right, Bearded, you're up. You're the only one that's watched.
I was going to say, am I the only one that's actually watched it?
I watched it as well.
No, okay, look.
Okay,
I haven't. I didn't finish episode 2. I didn't watch episode 3, but I tuned in for 15 minutes of episode 4 just to I literally feel like I've missed nothing.
That sounds about right when it comes to Disney stuff. I even have problems with some of the Disney Star Wars. Like I even have issues with Andor, and everybody loved Andor. So that's the best of what Disney.
Andor was slow, but I enjoyed Andor.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but I have lots of issues with Andor.
Yeah.
It's like Matt, if he didn't want to be a hero, Prince of Thorns. Yeah. He's talking about Prince of Thorns. Yeah, the first book in that series is kind of hard to get through because the main character is not a good person, and it's told in first person, and so you're like, oh, this guy's kind of gross. But it's very purposeful in the writing, like it's there on purpose, and then by the ending, like you realize there's some revelations where you're like, oh, like that's actually really smart. But I recommended it to a friend who did not like it at all, and I understand. But I enjoyed Prince of Thorns. But the second book in that series is probably one of the greatest books I've ever read. It has the way that it's structured is insane. There are nested flashbacks, and you're simultaneously reading like 4 or 5 different timelines at the same time, but it works because like the most recent timeline is from the main character's perspective, who has parts of his memory missing, and he's getting it back gradually, and so you're, as the reader, you're like jumping all over the place, and it's not tiresome. Like it works, and it's one of the coolest. It's one of my favorite books.
Nice. It's called the Broken Empire trilogy.
Broken Empire. Yeah. Super good. If you want Mark Lawrence, though, I wouldn't recommend that one first. I would definitely go with the Red Sister, Book of the Ancestor. I would start there. That one's much more approachable. Anyway, yeah, thanks to Nerporial. You don't have to stay. You can stay if you want. But Loki sucks.
I just wanted to say before I head out, next, and then the plan is next weekend or next Sunday I'm going to be doing part 2 of Shadow Rising. We're going to try cover chapters 11 through 21. I'm not sure on a time yet, depending on, because Pips is halfway across the world and he's interested in joining us, so I might have to see if we can do it earlier if he's available and if the other guys are available. So that's basically what I'm trying to figure out right now. So yeah, keep that in mind. And you guys are welcome to definitely welcome to check it out. I have 13 episodes. This is like a grand epic. So each stream is like 3 hours. We're just talking about like lore like crazy, and we're just having a blast. And I make intros that try to get you pumped up and excited for the discussion. So definitely check it out. There's a whole playlist of them. There's 13 episodes, and this is just the tip of the iceberg because there's like another 10 books left after this. So
yeah,
it's a very long epic journey.
Obviously, check out his Nerporial's channel. It's really good. If you're only on chapter 10 in book 4, I might just catch up and join you guys.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Everybody watch TechMex's video about
Daniel Green.
About book Daniel Green. One of the best videos I've ever seen.
Phenomenal.
Great arguments.
Oh, do you want to read one? Okay, before you leave, do you want to read one of the crazy comments then?
Sure.
On that one? Okay.
I left a crazy comment on freaking Daniel Green's thing.
Yeah, you texted it to me.
Yeah.
I have heard really good things about Mark Lawrence's newest book, The Book That Wouldn't Burn. That's been on the screen for way too long. I'll check it out eventually. I've got so many books. I'm reading Elric for another book club with the Prophet and Alex Green and.
You guys are reading Elric of Melnibone?
Yeah, you made me do it.
Shit. I started reading a little bit of that a few months ago. I should.
It's good. It's real fun, man.
Dude, it's sexy. It starts off. It's sexy so far.
Elric is so much fun.
Yeah.
It is the pulpiest of pulp fiction. And that is not in any way like close to like saying it's schlock. Like it's genuinely good.
Moorcock hated Tolkien, I believe, if I remember correctly.
He hated Tolkien. Yeah. And then the Witcher just ripped him off completely. Finish Shadow Rising. Yeah, I should start. I'll start book 4. I want to join you.
He's telling me to finish Shadow Rising.
Yeah.
I want to participate in your book club, so I might start book 4. Elric, you didn't like it. Well, yeah, I can understand not liking it as a kid. I can also understand liking it as a kid, but it's a little dense.
You know how I found out about this book series Elric? Because I used to watch when I was in college. I watched Full Metal Alchemist. One of the main character's name is Edward Elric. So I looked up. I just Googled Elric, and I came across this, and that's how I first heard about this back in the 2000s when I was in college.
Wow.
And the books weren't available. Like I wanted to see if I could buy one. They weren't. They were out of print at the time.
Yeah. I just got them on Audible. Okay, so this is the comment that where is it?
Holy, that dissertation.
Yep, that's the one.
Holy,
that's the one.
I'm curious if I got some nasty. I definitely did.
Okay, and don't judge my like recommended videos because I don't for my YouTube channel. I don't have like a history. I don't use this to watch YouTube. This is just default YouTube suggestions based on my content. He also left like 5 other comments on other people's comments, just saying how stupid I am. But okay, just to break down the video. Oh yeah, YouTube is dumb now, and I'm not.
Yep. YouTube is blocking ad blockers.
I know. I just need to ad block to upgrade their they're blocking, you know. Okay. Should we just break down this whole thing?
It's a lot.
Well, yeah, it's going to take us an hour to break it down. I'm reading it right now. This is just.
Well, so the premise of the video is Daniel Green put out a video saying Christians who are banning. It's just disingenuous. It's a lie. He said people there are banning books because they were written by LGBTP authors. And if you do that, you're a fascist and a bigot, and F you, and unsubscribe to my channel. And so I said, okay, fine. But it's a lie. I'm a concerned parent. I have kids in school. Okay. David, my brother, has kids in school. Corwin has kids. Has your kid started school yet?
She'll be starting this upcoming year.
I'm very involved in this because I'm concerned with my child's education, and I'm involved. Like I ask him, hey, what did you learn at school today? Because I want to know what he's learning. I want to know if they're actually teaching math. You've been getting Daniel Green recommended to you after you watched my video. I'm sorry. I got several comments of people saying that they unsubscribed because of my video. So that feels really good. Anyway, again, I'm not attacking Daniel Green. I'm attacking his comments because they were just lies. And I don't want to attribute to malice what can be easily explained by stupidity, but
I hate that. I hate the way he made that video. It's a typical tactic. It pisses me off. That's why I wrote a nasty comment right there. He's totally disingenuous.
I don't believe that it can be anything other than malicious. Like he's completely ignoring facts. Okay. I have looked through these books. I have read them. They are very sexually explicit. I could care less about an author's orientation. What I care about is the content of the book, and the books that are being banned it's not because they are LGBTP authors, it's because they're sexually explicit. So the whole point of my video was hold on, I gotta pull up something else. We're not trying to ban authors, we are trying to ban books. And if it so happens that the majority of the books that we're banning belong to these types of authors, it says a whole lot more about them and their demographic than it does about the parents. But even then, that's not true. I gotta pull up Alex Green did some great research and he sent it to me. Here, I'll bring that back on the screen now. Oops. Goodness, I'm juggling too many things.
Yep.
So
while you're pulling that up and finding it, we can just dive into some of this. So basically, in here, he gives an example. That the second paragraph there, or So he gives an example of where they actually banned books because the author was gay, and then they found out that the book wasn't actually explicit content, and so they reversed their decision and put it back in the libraries. And that's the example he gives of, it is actually happening. They are banning books just because they're gay.
And they corrected it.
It, right? It's like, oops, this isn't what we're looking for, and they put it back. It was fixed.
Okay.
Look, I can criticize. I don't doubt there are some people who are overreactive. Okay,
right?
Like Harry Potter. Okay, when that came out, there was the big Satanism scare, right?
I remember that.
Which was unfounded, but honestly understandable. If they hadn't read the book, like my parents said, hey, wait, there's this book about witchcraft and you're reading it in school. That's concerning. Then they read the book, realized it was awesome, and then read it to us. Okay. So I understand. Look, I honestly understand parents who were freaking out. But if you don't do the research, that's irresponsible, right?
Right.
Also, I don't think that Harry Potter probably shouldn't be required reading in school.
No, I wouldn't. I would agree with that. I would agree with that either. I literally just finished the whole series this past month. while reading Wheel of Time. I took a break and I read the
Yeah.
entire Harry Potter series.
Nice.
Again, they're phenomenal books. I love
I agree.
them. I
Yeah.
love them. I think they're very good. The reread as an adult, it's just a fun book. Like I could tear it up and down for plot holes and
Yeah,
all
they're
that.
great.
It's just fun. It's just a fun book. It is not one of the greatest literary children's works of all
Right.
time.
So I have no problem having Harry Potter books in school libraries. Making it a required reading, especially like when it first came out, I literally had teachers who read it to their students in school, and some kids some parents took their kids out of school, and I honestly totally understand that. Like that's a little bit scary as an adult. Probably shouldn't be required reading. Should we make it impossible for kids to read the book? No, it should be available, right? But even then, that should be a choice their parents make if they don't want their kids to read about witchcraft. That's fine.
But just to clarify,
I think it's a
your
little
statement,
overreactive.
if anyone who's jumping in, it's not that we think that Harry Potter is witchcraft, because it's
No.
not. It's an amazing series. It's just when it first came out, there was all this hype about a book of witchcraft coming out, and all these parents, especially, it was very, very much in the Bible Belt down south. They were freaking out, and all these pastors with huge mega churches were screaming, "It's just witchcraft."
Yeah.
They didn't read the book.
And they obviously had
anyone
another-
reads the book,
Exactly.
everyone
Exactly.
obviously knows, like, oh, this is just this is a children's book. There's nothing bad in it. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the books that we want banned have bad stuff in it.
Right.
Very bad stuff, like stuff I literally could not show on YouTube. The one example I brought up, and there are way more than that one example. I had to blur 90% of the content. It's a picture, it's a picture book for kids that shows graphic depictions of this kind of gross stuff.
Yeah.
I could care less. Again, I could care less that the author is gay. I read Daniel Green's books and he's bi. I don't care.
He is.
I could care less. If the book's good, I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
But I don't want sexual content taught in schools. Mark Clark, do you guys read to your kids before bed? Absolutely. Yes. My wife does it more than me because she's an English major and she enjoys it more. But I read books occasionally to my kids. Yeah. Mine did, and that's why I love to read. Absolutely. My
Absolutely
mom.
why I love to read.
My mom read to us. My parents read Harry Potter to us. What else did mom? She read like the Phantom Tollbooth. She read that. That's a good book. She read all kinds of books to us.
Dragonlance.
Yeah, I love my
That was one
mom.
we read.
Yeah, people are very quick to conflate homosexual romance or couples in books with hardcore. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm not gonna read the rest of that, but you can.
Yeah. And that's another thing that he complains about in this thing, in this comment. He says that nobody's complaining about sexually explicit stuff when it's not gay. When it's straight stuff, people don't, and that's literally a point that you made in your video.
Yeah. No. So he brings up the example that I made.
Yeah,
he brings
it
up
up, yeah.
Beloved. Okay.
And he said nobody's complaining about that when you literally, that's why you brought it up.
Look,
was to complain and say that
I
straight-
brought it up in the video. It was assigned reading in my school to read Beloved. It's a book about slavery, kind of.
You said they have sex with cows in
Yes,
that. In
the
that
young
book?
men are so horny they go out and have sex with the calves.
Yep.
It's revolting, and it
Yep.
was assigned reading in high school, and that's disgusting. I stopped reading the book, and I stopped reading any book that teacher assigned. I would just spark notes, cliff notes.
and I had a similar thing
I
happen.
literally brought it up
teacher.
as an example, saying, "Look, I'm not just complaining about gay authors. I'm complaining about sexual content,
Right.
and I have a problem with sexual content when it like." And then this is what he says. And when you say gay authors are trying to sexualize kids, of course you didn't say it about your straight teacher when they were trying to sexualize you when you read Beloved. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, it's very silly. And like I said, I think it was the same teacher that assigned that to you in high school assigned me to read Clan of the Freaking Cave Bear, which
Yeah.
is full of explicit content, has very graphic depictions of things that I wish I could forget.
Yeah.
By the way, Dave, the comment the comment you left on this comment or on this particular comment.
Yeah.
Can I say I'm a huge fan? Can I have your autograph?
Oh, sure.
Like,
I was afraid.
Yeah, I was simping for Angry Mexa. Now I think I'm gonna simp for you now, dude.
Oh, sweet.
You got my respect.
Shelf
That
Help
was
Gaming. Go
great.
check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll post a video again
Maybe.
just for you.
I'm working. I filmed a couple. I just got to edit them and get them out.
Yeah. There's,
Yeah.
but like the amount of people that were saying, like, there's another one that says, your video is embarrassing. Your logical arguments are no different from his. But like, I literally backed up my logical arguments with facts. And Daniel Green just made sweeping generalizations.
Well, he said if you disagree with me, you're a bigot. I mean, it's just when you hear that, that's a red flag. Like, and I literally say that in my comment on that video. Like, please look in the context of what's going on, or don't just listen to Daniel Green.
Or this one's great. For your point, where I said Daniel Green would support libraries having Mein Kampf in schools, and he says, "Of course he wouldn't support that, and you know that." Yeah. That's why I used it as an example. It's hyperbole. I used it to say, obviously, Daniel Green would think that that's bad, which shows you that his argument is bad.
Right.
Because that would be the natural progression of using his logic.
Yep.
That's the whole point. Like, these people, they don't understand the Socratic method. They've literally never never been told no. They've never been presented with any ideas that are contrary to their worldviews.
It's because, and I will, as someone who went through higher education, someone with 2 degrees under his belt in political theory. So I was in all the political science classes. Like, that's what I did. I had to debate all these people like crazy. And Neoporal's right in what he said earlier. Anytime someone shuts down and says, well, if you don't agree with me, you're a bigot, it's because they have no leg to stand on. Exactly. And in today's society, the ability to debate, and I'm gonna blame this on 2 things: higher education, number 1, and number 2, the keyboard warrior. You don't have to look someone in the face. You can just write F you, up yours, screw you, and there's no repercussions. It's no one knows the philosophical method of debate, like you were saying. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, all the way medieval ages, debate has been part of time clear up until now. And now it's just, you don't agree with me, up yours, you're a racist, evil, awful, terrible Nazi, bigot, pig. I hope you burn. You should be killed.
It's just name calling. It's manipulation and name calling. It's bull. And I triple dog dared him to have a conversation with Tech-Mex and Dave. Well, I think Dave should be there too.
So it is.
Thanks, William. Yes, this is what I was addressing. This was his comment saying no books should ever be banned. Like, what about Mein Kampf? I don't think that should be in schools, because obviously he would object to that, which would destroy his logic. Yes.
Yeah. It's very sad that that's where debate has evolved to.
Yeah. I remember in school we had a debate, and we picked a topic or whatever, and we had to argue either side. And at the time, I hated that assignment because I had to argue against my personal beliefs. But now looking back, I realize how important that is, because you've got to look at both sides. You've got to, analyze these things and present your evidence back and forth.
Explore it from both sides. Yeah.
You want to know what's even more crazy though?
Today.
The entire claim that Daniel Green's video is based on is a lie. Alex Green, a different Green, okay, from the White Cloaks, sent me some wonderful information with a list of the books that are being banned in Florida. This is the first 20 books, okay? Take the first 20 books this is the list of books that Florida wants banned from schools. 3 of the authors identify as queer. and 2 of those are women who are married with children who still are queer, I guess. 1 was banned for racism. 9 were banned for sexual content. 1 was political. 1 had nudity in the book. So we're like,
How many authors
we're
total?
not just banning gay authors. That's not even true.
Yeah. So out of how many authors? 3 were
20
20 authors and only 3
Is that 20 authors or 20 books?
out of the first
LGBT?
20 books by 20 different authors.
The 20 different. Okay.
3 self-identified as queer. 1 was actually queer.
So even his statistics are not
Yes.
even correct.
Yes.
It's not the majority of the authors.
And that's a good point. Yeah, Mein Kampf in
know
high
that.
school, maybe maybe that's something to study, but not elementary school.
It's Mein Kampf is actually it's a terrible book, and I'm not saying that because
I wouldn't say high school. I would say in college. Absolutely, it should be something you should be
we
able
read
to.
it in college. It was an assignment we had to read it. We had a teacher at UVU. He's a communist. Like, he loves Cuba. The whole show is crazy. And one of the books that he gave us, like, this is a list of political books you can read. And to his credit, he had a lot of conservative and liberal and all that. But one of them was Mein Kampf, and I was like, why the heck not? I'll read Mein Kampf. And I read it, and it's bad. It's Hitler's design for, we're far enough in here that I can use some of the words that get him on, I think, at this point. It's his design for where he was going to take Nazi Germany. But it is so bad. It is so hard to read. And it was a law that every German citizen had to have a copy of Mein Kampf in their home. Nobody read it because you can't. It's so bad. Like, his whole plan of, like, killing all the Jews, going to war with the world, it's all in there. And Germans didn't read it because they were like, I can't. It's just so bad.
The most effective way to get rid of bad ideas is to show people them
and to laugh at them.
That. Why do you think that libs of TikTok on Twitter? Okay, what do they don't provide any commentary. They literally just show you videos of liberals talking about themselves. And they've been banned and harassed and doxxed and demonetized for not providing any opinions. They're literally just shining a light on bad logic. That if your worldview falls apart or is scared of the light, it's probably because it's not good.
And people these days can't. And there have been times even on this show where we've admitted we've been wrong. Something will happen and we'll be like, "Nah, we were wrong. This was that." And but today you cannot, for whatever reason, people can't admit they're wrong. They can't, even if it's looking them in the face. What color is this flashlight? Oh, it's blue. Well, no, it's actually black. Oh, no, it's blue. You're just an idiot. And the light was turned on. See,
how many fingers do I have up?
Exactly. You've got 5 because his thumb is tucked under. No, it's 4. This one is. No, you got 5 on your hand. People can't admit they're wrong, and then when they finally do, when you finally paint them into a corner, they have nowhere to go. And which is usually extremely quickly in a logical debate, out come the name callings. You're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're a bigot. You're evil. You're awful. You're a terrible, awful, evil human being. You're this. Blah, 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 blah. F you, up yours. What?
It takes a lot of character and a lot of strength to admit when you are wrong. I mean, it's something that even when I was younger, I obviously had I struggle with it, but it's okay. I mean, learn from it. People forgive you.
That's kind of how you learn is by being wrong.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
you have to make
No,
mistakes.
exactly.
And it's like what Quint says in Jaws. It's like, are you smart enough to know when you are wrong? When he says when he gives what's his name? I forget. Richard Dreyfuss's character crap, and he's right. He's right. Like you have to be smart enough to know when you're wrong. You have to put your ego aside and think about it and reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very stoic Roman Greek thing. Rationality.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, we should probably talk about Loki, which means
Didn't we
Nerporial
try
doesn't
that 2
want to stay
times?
around.
I don't think we need to talk about Loki. It's just
Okay.
What is there to talk about?
All right.
Jared
Nerporial has been trying to leave for like
and Bearded should
30
take
minutes.
the show.
But
From
before
here.
we do that, we're going to talk about the Wheel of Time again.
Yep.
Did you see this one, Nerporial?
No.
They had to run cover to because Suwan isn't the villain of Wheel of Time. I got news for you. She is. She is absolutely a dark friend.
All the main characters are
broken
villains.
all of the oaths, but
Yeah.
Like
I thought that was
Moraine, Moron. I have to get the name right. Moron is probably the biggest villain in that show. Like, I am more safe hanging out with Ishii. I'd rather have Ishii sell me a U Subaru because he seems like a sweet guy. Like, I felt bad when Rand stabbed him. He wasn't doing anything. Rand just stabs him on top of that tower. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, there could have been a Subaru sale. There could have been a happy Randland Subaru customer that could have been happy. And, I want to make a Randland Subaru commercial. I've been getting so many ads for Subaru commercials. I want to make a Randland Subaru commercial.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't mean to derail this conversation, but they're all villains. Like, I hate them all.
Yep.
Like, I don't, and they're supposed to be depicted. It's like you're gaslighting the audience.
The writers,
they're supposed to be good when they're not.
It's. I don't think that's intentional. I don't think they're gaslighting the audience. It's because they don't know what good and evil are.
Right. They can't write about good and evil if you don't understand the distinction.
Like they want to put.
I mean, like
kind of books in
Trollocs.
schools. I think that's evil.
I mean, Trollocs in that show are like people in Chicago when they do bad stuff. It's not because they're bad; it's because they're hungry. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm making this political. I live in a city.
We didn't make the Wheel of Time political. The showrunner did. So
yeah.
Loki.
Anyway, Loki. Yeah. Forbes says Loki season 2 shows why Marvel's multiverse doesn't work. Check out Nerporial's channel; it's really good if you want to talk more about Wheel of Time.
Later, guys.
I'm gonna get to Galaxy of the Galactic Heroes eventually. Okay.
All right, man. Take care.
Right.
See, even Forbes agreed with me that Loki sucks, and we lost the Ingram Exa because we were talking about the Wheel of Time too long. But he said he only watched 5 minutes of this episode and was so bored he just couldn't cope. I watched the first 7 minutes and then I watched the last 7 minutes, and I haven't seen episodes 2 or 3. I genuinely don't think I've missed anything. Even the 15 minutes I watched was some of the slowest things. It was so slow. Why is the show so slow?
Jared and Bearded, take it away. They watched it. I want to know what they think.
It is so slow.
All right, so Corbin, you did see it, and Jared, you saw it, right?
I did.
First off, before you talk about the content, was anyone surprised? Was anyone blown away or impressed that Loki was the one who pruned himself? Like, was that not obvious from episode 1 to anyone?
I figured that was the case.
That's obviously what it was going to be, right? They are so proud. That scene literally took 5 of the 7 minutes that I watched. It was just and you guys lied to me. You guys tried to gaslight me when we talked about episode 1 and say he wasn't just standing there for 10 minutes. They go back and show it from a new angle, and guess what? Loki is standing there for 10 minutes doing nothing when what is the one thing he's supposed to be doing? Looking for a stick so he can prune himself. He literally just stands there, and And then he gets to watch himself standing there, and he doesn't do anything about it. It is so slow. And they were so proud of that scene because it lasted so long. It was supposed to be this mind-blowing, haha, time travel, we're so clever. And it's literally the most obvious thing ever. It wasn't a twist. It wasn't surprising. It wasn't good. It was just... ugh.
They tried to do a Back to the Future Part 2 type of thing.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid your future.
Not really.
Not really.
No, he just there's a plot point in episode 1 where he has to kill himself to in order to live, and he shows up and literally doesn't try. He has to find one of the pruning sticks. Doesn't even look for one, just walks around.
Okay, no, that was not true. He did look for one, but when he saw the elevator open, then he paused.
For the first 1 minute, he looked for one, and then he spent the next 7 minutes just...
That's not how that's not how the first episode went. But in this episode, it definitely showed him just standing there for a while, and I thought that was awkward. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
it was.
it's kind of weird.
I'll give you that.
Standing in front of this elevator.
So it turns out it was himself from the future that pruned his past self so that he could live. It's
correct.
Obviously, that's who it was going to be. Okay, tell us how this episode was so good.
Not surprised by that.
I am glad that they killed Renslayer. I am glad that they showed Renslayer after like 6 episodes, and I remember they kept talking about her
This
endlessly.
was only episode 4.
And I had no idea who she was.
Or 2.
Okay, so you were talking about how you skipped episode 2. She was in episode 2. Like,
okay, yeah, she wasn't in the first
they
20
didn't
minutes.
show her for 6 episodes. They didn't show her for 6 episodes. You skipped the episode she was in.
Yeah, maybe you should have
All
killed
about her.
yourself.
What was going
All
on?
of is that's why I stopped watching episode 2, because it was just mumbo jumbo jargon, Renslayer this and Renslayer that, and I couldn't for the life of me remember
wait, I thought
who
they
the
didn't show her
heck
till
that
episode
was.
6. What? I thought they didn't show her till episode 6.
There's only 4 episodes.
You said episode 6.
I was being hyperbolic.
Sure, that's always your excuse.
Sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Being hyperbolic.
I'm sorry.
Burn.
I was wrong. They didn't show her for 4 episodes.
No, it was.
I'm
one
sorry.
episode.
I was halfway to.
It was an episode.
Literally episode 2.
Okay, they didn't show her for the for the first 20 minutes of episode 2, and they kept talking about her.
Yeah, and then they bring her up later because they're like, "Oh yeah, this
portal.
is the Red Slayer we were talking about."
Right.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. It starts with her stepping out of
So
a time
boring.
portal.
It's so boring.
Yeah, anyway.
And
so, okay.
feminine Loki she's just wearing. She has a mullet. She's
I was going to say,
ugly.
I think what it is she has a mullet, and that's
It's a
why
mullet.
it's so unattractive. Now. Like,
So ugly. She's an attractive woman, and they make her look so repulsive in this show, and they have her act so repulsive in this show. This entire, I mean, for the little part that I saw, she was blaming Loki. Look, okay, this episode opens with Renslayer saying, "Men are worthless and stupid, and it was me who did all of the work. I was the general. I was the general of Kane's armies, and he just sat on his throne, and I did all the work. And aren't men stupid?" I was like, okay, I can't do this, and I skipped to the end.
Yeah.
I skimmed through if they were like, so I looked at the little preview and like, oh, this looks like an interesting scene, and I watched a couple minutes of that. Holy crap. The opening scene of episode 4 is just insufferable. The female Loki, she just spends the whole episode saying that it's Loki's fault, but it's hers.
But it's her fault. Yeah.
It's her. It's literally her fault. That was the finale of season 1.
It should have been Loki's fault.
She is
She still thinks it's all bad. She still
Yeah.
thinks it's all bad, though, is the problem. So, like, from her perspective, it's not her fault. She thinks she's actually fixing things, and she's not
from the show writer's perspective.
Yeah,
she is.
That's the thing, is I'm not sure where the show writers are thinking is the right thing to go with on this, because it's yeah, I don't know, it's bizarre. But all right, the big thing that I will say that I really liked with this episode, because every time I try to talk, I was going to jump.
I'm sorry. Every time you literally will talk for 30 seconds and will remind me of something so stupid that I got to rant about it. Go on, tell us how it's good.
what I liked about it was the way that it ended. Because it was not what you expect. It was not, hey, they figured out how to save the day. They lost. They failed, and
Right.
this
He gets
Steve
turned
Germain,
into
character
string
was
cheese.
turned into spaghetti, which I thought was a nice twist. Where you're like, oh, that was not what I was expecting to have happen. Like it
I
was a
did.
little bit of a, oh hey,
I
there
did
you go.
enjoy seeing
Everybody
Jonathan
back?
Mayers being shredded into string cheese because his acting is awful. He's trying to do that stutter, and it is just it's so bad. So I was really glad that he
I
died.
think he's been doing a good job.
So they killed King off again.
It was a King variant.
Well, he's
Okay.
proto Kang, if you will, because he's just freshly pulled from his 19th century timeline. So,
Yeah, he's King before he's the one who remains before he became the one who remains or whatever.
Huh.
But then he dies, so now he's never going to become the one who remains, or unless it's a variant. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see where they end up going with it, but yeah.
I won't. Because
so I don't know. I did appreciate that ending and how they kind of played around with that, and yeah. I thought that was great. I enjoyed the rest of it. Owen Wilson's always a lot of fun to see him walking, going through there and doing some fun things. It'll be interesting to see how they want to go with him saying that he doesn't want to figure out who he was on the timeline. There was a scene you probably missed, Alan, where they're trying to goad him into saying like, why haven't you figured out what's going on, where you were, where you came from on the timeline and everything. And Loki's kind of saying, well, it might be good to know that way. If it was bad, it might help you feel a little bit better. And he's like, yeah, but what if it was good? Because he realizes that he can't do anything about the fact that he's here.
Right.
This is all the life that he knows. And if it was good, he's going to be upset about the fact that he was pulled off the timeline, and he doesn't want to be caught up in that because he wants to be doing his stuff that he's doing here. So I really like the exploration they were kind of playing around with there. But yeah, we'll see about with this article here. I haven't been super hopeful about them making multiverse and the alternate dimensions and other things that they've been playing around with all these other multiverse saga stuff. I haven't been super expecting them to make it make sense, but this is making me think that they might, although I'm still a little reluctant or not sure if they actually will, but they're going in a direction where it's like, oh, maybe they'll decide to explain this. So I don't know. We'll see. That's my thoughts anyway.
I liked it. I think it's been good. They have generally kept my interest as I've watched each episode. I feel like they're like, they haven't been horrible acting. I thought they brought up some ideas that have been, interesting to think about.
Owen Wilson's always a good actor.
Owen's doing a great job.
Tom Hiddleston, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I can't stand Jonathan Mayers. I think he's doing a horrible job.
I disagree. I think he's been doing.
There's some interesting choices there. It's kind of annoying choices, but I don't think I don't think he's doing it poorly. I think
it's a similar choice to my complaints with the stage actress from Rings of Power. It's not the same thing. It's something different. He's making a choice where he's like doing this like
awkward stutter.
Well, he's doing a stutter, but he's also trying to be stoic at the same time. It is not working. He's trying to be shy, but also command. Like it's just fake. It's fake. It's not good. It's uncomfortable to watch him.
I was going to say, you do know this is acting, so it's not real, any of it, right?
I'm just really disappointed that Owen Wilson hasn't said "wow" in any episode.
None of them.
He's trying to get away from that. Like, I know he says that I'm trying to get away from the stare, but that's.
It would be so
no
fun.
one says "wow" like Owen Wilson. Like,
it would be so fun to like
true.
this show. Like I love Owen Wilson, and I love seeing Short Round Guy on screen.
He's doing a great job.
Alan, you gotta send me a text. Just send me a random text.
Okay,
just listen.
Random
text.
I would love to be enjoying this show.
Ki Hu Kwan has been doing.
Make sure my volume's all the way up.
He's fantastic. Like, it's full of.
He's been very amusing.
Oh, it didn't do it.
Yeah, I'll send you another.
My text notification is wow.
I do wish that, like, again, to your point, I do get that he wants to get away from it. So, like, maybe not doing it a lot, but like once per season would be like a good, like get him a good wow moment to be like,
But there were so many things. Like it's supposed to be this big spectacle. Like there should be so many moments where it would be appropriate for him to say,
right.
"Wow."
That's what I'm saying. Is if he wants to get away from it, that's
Wow.
fine. But like you've got enough big moments that if you give him just one of those, yeah, I agree. That'd be a lot
It's
of
a
fun.
nerd show. That's the
Oh
point.
man,
Like
I
this
love
is,
that we're talking about this.
it's a nerd show. Like, come on, man. Like,
Wow.
hey, a little like.
You
Owen
know
Wilson's
where
a
it
great
needed to
actor.
be. You
I
know where it
loved
needed.
him in
You know where it
every
was needed. It's the end
The
of
end of this
episode.
episode?
King explodes. Wow.
Wow. Just
That
like
would've been
that.
funny.
Well, you
That
gotta
would've
make, you gotta
been a
make
good
the
moment to
tisk
do it.
sound before the. Wow. Like,
Wow.
wow. You've got to do because it's just it's just for those of you who do not have the wow as your notification for your phone,
Even a subtle wow. Is
please
fine.
Yeah.
please change your
Even just
notification.
like-
For those of you who don't change your notification or your text messages or anything to Owen Wilson's wow. Just look for it. It makes for amazing moments. Like
Nice.
even today, my dad was talking about some story. He's like, I was there and I saw this elk that was driving down, and the elk's horns were this big. And sure enough, sure as crap, my phone goes,
Wow.
wow. It was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
It happens so much.
The problem
I
with that
like
though,
the-
It change
even
your,
him not
it
doing
changes
like,
your relationship with your phone.
wow.
the,
Every
the
time
problem,
my wife texts me, wow, like it's amazing.
the problem with that though is which one do you choose?
It
Which
hasn't
wow
gotten
do you
old. It is
choose?
amazing.
I like Kate's comment though. Even a subtle wow. Even he goes
Yeah.
like a little less of it is like wow, a little bit more like wow. Like do something different where you're just like, I know what you're referencing there. Even like I'd rather get the class going wow, but like just something to give us a little nod. You know, I don't know.
That would be fun. Anywho,
Owen Wilson played just for my. What was the name of the movie where they did the show about the American family and the tsunami in India that happened back in like 2005?
Is that the one with Tom Holland?
It's like No Way Out or something like that. I think that's what it's called.
Are you talking about like is it the
No
Impossible or
Escape.
the-
It's
No
called,
Escape.
It's
Oh,
called No
okay.
Escape.
Different one then.
No,
I
yeah,
was close.
No Escape. He does phenomenal in that movie. If you guys haven't, it is R. Just FYI, it is. And the reason why I do know how to enjoy life, Martino. Thank you. The reason why it is because they do some really graphic stuff with the tsunami when it hits, and there's
Right.
tons of bodies and all that. And so, but he does a phenomenal job. He is not just a comedy actor. He can do anything. People they did typecast him.
But he's so good at comedies. You almost don't want to see him in anything else. But yeah, no, he can
Shanghai
do-
Noon is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh baby,
yeah,
And Shanghai Nights. The
I'll
same
even
thing.
watch Shanghai Nights. And it's not as good, but it's still funny.
One of the best scenes of movie all time, because just I'm so American and I just love America, is when they're walking through in Shanghai Nights, they're walking through England, and Jackie Chan keeps tipping his hat, and he's like, howdy partner, and all these like English guys are looking at him. Owen Wilson looks at him, he said, why are they so mean? They're so mean because I'll tell you something, it's called the American Revolution, John. They had the biggest, baddest army in the world. We had a bunch of farmers with pitchforks, and we beat them like drums. Like, yes.
yeah.
Dude, I love Owen Wilson, but it's not enough to watch the show.
Yeah.
He's doing great. I think it's good, and I'd say that every episode, for the most part, I'm like, okay, I like what are they going to do in the next episode? You know, like how are they going to turn this story differently? Like for example, this one literally, Renslayer, who you thought had this big old massive plan about how to change the TVA, she's killed, right? And then they reset the system, so the clock. Right, like she's gone. Like, is she gonna come back with vengeance, or like what's gonna happen there?
She's the general of King's armies. She's gonna come back with an army, and they're gonna go back to the place because she's not dead. She's going to the place where they go when you get pruned, and she's gonna lead an army of Lokis, and they're gonna bring back Alligator Loki and the Loki who's wearing tights and. I just don't care.
Maybe But that's the thing. Like every episode, I'm like, oh, okay, shoot, like that's not how I expected them to take it. Like I expected them to be like, okay, we're gonna thwart this plan that we've so carefully tried to figure out, right? Like literally, they're building this machine to try to save the
TVA.
funnel, and then
Yeah,
literally everything, like the bad guys that were plotting against them die, and then the one person that was going to go try and save it dies as he's trying to take the thing out to him. So you're literally like, oh shoot, like nothing worked and nothing happened like it was supposed to or was going to.
Yeah. Have you guys seen I Spy?
I think so.
Owen Wilson and Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah,
I might have.
So
It came out a while ago, didn't it?
So good.
Yeah.
It's a buddy cop. It's a buddy spy movie. Owen Wilson,
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy. It's freaking hilarious. I love I Spy. I
All
would
right.
much rather watch that again than an episode of Loki.
Yeah.
It's got a.
And I don't think it's really as bad as you're making it out to be. And there's no like huge political agenda that they're trying to push.
I
You know, like
Yeah, he's right there.
There's no political agenda. Try
actually, here's the
Are
thing.
you just
Here's the-
ignoring the opening scene of episode 4?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
They are pushing. They're not like pushing an agenda, but they are talking a lot about what the meaning of a life is, and I think that's a good discussion. In fact, there was one particular part that like stood out to me when the two Lokis were talking to each other, and they were talking about how it's like, look, like it's not just what. Oh, shoot, I wish I remember what they actually said. Maybe I have to look it up again because it was profound. I was like, look, they're thinking about. Why do we prune? Like, why do we value life so much, and how do we avoid taking a life? Like, there's so many things about
This
that.
is great.
Like,
Yeah, they do have
This
a lot
is-
of good stuff there.
This is great though.
You know?
It's impossible to explain the plot of the show without sounding dumb. Like Jared's a smart guy, but you sound like a kindergartner telling his dad about his day when describing the plot.
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
It's like honestly, if you haven't been watching the show, like this sounds just like utter nonsense. Okay, like.
Then again, a lot of things sound like utter nonsense if you're trying to explain it.
I've
Off the
enjoyed
cuff,
it.
Well.
I don't think it's been that bad. In fact, this is one where like I still am not like I'm not pulled into it, so I'm not like, oh, I
Right.
have to watch Loki this week.
Mhm.
But like they haven't been bad. Like I haven't
Right.
cringed every time I watched them like I did with Wheel of Time. Like literally every time I watched Wheel of Time, I was like, this is the worst. But this time I'm watching Loki and I'm
Dude.
like, you know what? This is okay. This isn't bad.
Articus, you have no idea how excited I am to see the Marvels. Like I will not pay for a ticket, but I'm considering opening night. Like if I got to check to see if there's seats. I just might buy a movie ticket to a different movie, and definitely watch that movie. I want to see the Marvels very, very badly because it looks like it's going to be so funny.
I agree with Kate there. They're pushing the girl boss narrative, but not as aggressively as a lot of other shows have.
Right,
right. And it's there, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. To your point, there was a little bit of that because, in all
Yeah.
honesty, the scene you're talking about, the opening of this last episode, yes, Renslayer's pointing out how like he took credit for all of my work. I was the boss, and I was the one that was the general of his armies, and he's taking credit for me. But that's him doing it against her. She didn't make it a larger commentary about all men doing this all the time. It was just he did this to me, and it sucks that him as a guy was able to do that to me as a girl. Like, so that again, it's there, but it's not as over
Right.
the top as I think some of the other ones have been.
I will say I do
Yeah.
think it's a better show than Ahsoka. I've watched more of it.
Yeah,
I think Ahsoka was better,
I
but
actually like
that's
Ahsoka.
just me.
I've
Yeah.
got some
Yeah.
issues with it, but I did like Ahsoka.
It's not perfect, but I like Ahsoka quite a bit. But
Same here.
I'm also a Star Wars guy, so
Well, I'll have to decide if I'm gonna watch Loki season 2 because I wasn't planning on it. I might have to check it out to see which one of you
This
guys.
is
Read
This is so good.
Read Wheel of Time book 4. Really good.
Well,
Great. This is
granted, I've already read book 4. I'm on 5 now.
Look,
Just
this
like
is a
you.
great point. If you actually want to have good girl boss moments, read freaking Lightbringer.
Lightbringer,
It's fantastic. Karis White Oak
Mm.
doing stuff in those books.
Book 4
It's
is fantastic.
so good.
Yeah.
Better than
Yeah, for sure.
Tice's Green. That's it. That's a tough.
I'm still pretty
fantastic.
early on. I'm only about halfway. I'm not even quite halfway through the first book. So let's take it easy with it. But she has been being a really awesome character there.
Tice's is fantastic.
I'm intrigued to see there's some interesting like gender dynamics there, because there's obviously some like I don't know the way they talk about what's his name, Gaius.
Sorry, Mark Clark just started book 4. If you already like Titus, just okay. Sorry, go on. Sorry,
I think Mark Clark did this on purpose. Earlier in the chat, he said, "Hey, let's talk about Lightbringer."
I know.
He's now he's like, "Okay, now we have
stream.
to
When we finally start talking about Loki, you've got to bring up something more interesting.
So
Yeah.
let me
I'm good enough on my Loki. If other people want to talk about something else, that's okay. But also, if other people want to talk about Loki, I'm down to talk.
Loki. You can't, and this.
I'm just saying.
I've got to go be a
already
dad.
like Titus, and now you're reading book 4. Man, you're in for a treat. Okay, go.
Yeah, for sure.
So my problem is, and this is, the second you bring in, and this is one of the reasons I didn't like Avengers either. The second you bring in time travel into anything,
right,
you ruin. It opens up such a massive door that you can't close it. Once you've opened that into your book, you can't close it. And
I can understand that argument for sure.
Name me a single show where if you bring in time travel, it doesn't ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week. Last week we talked about how time travel is just a messy subject. Like I brought up Somewhere in Time. Literally, it's a great movie. But okay, you got to stop it, Mark.
That's kind of Mark. That's kind of the point, though.
I was going to say, I think I might need to be like popping out my headphone if we're going to be starting talking about Andros, because like I've only heard him as a not present member of the Spectrum or whatever showing up there at that meeting with the Prism. So,
but anyway, I agree, Corwin, that as soon as you bring time travel into it, it gets messy, and it always does in any movie.
Unless the movie is about time travel, right?
Yeah, but
Back to the Future. That's probably one of the best examples.
But they did that too. Like in this one, when OB meets the guy, he's like, "Oh wait, but I was inspired by you," and he's like, "Oh, but no, you inspired me." Right? And it's like they're like, "Oh wait, so like which one happened first?"
Gravitas.
One of the few things that actually gives me the most
hope
hope with this show, with that, is the scene that they did. I think it was the first episode where Loki's time slipping, and he's back with OB and saying like, "Hey, what about this?" And then you're forward with Mobius saying like, "Have you ever done this?" He's like, "No, wait, yes." And that actually worked really well. Of the something in the past is affecting the future in an interesting way that like shouldn't make sense, but they make it feel like it's not nonsense. It is a little wonky, but it feels like it's not complete nonsense. So
it's just
I'm hoping.
I think it opens up way more, unless it's a movie specifically about time travel, right? Specific like Back to the Future or The Time Machine or a show that's specific. If you have a series or a book series or a TV series and you open up time travel, it opens up way more loopholes than you can possibly close.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
And then on this, then I got to end with this because I've got to go be a dad. My kids are wanting to play with them.
Same here.
I probably will leave out to that too. Yeah.
The issue is with the multiverse theory. And again, I know I'm a Rick and Morty fan, have been a Rick and Morty fan, and will be a Rick and Morty fan.
Right. You got to tell us about season 3 before you leave.
What was that?
You got to tell us about season 3 before you leave. Just
I may or may not have time.
Just a thumbs
My
up.
kids are breaking down the door right now.
Just do the,
I like it.
Just
I like
execute it or not.
The first episode I was not happy with. The second episode was probably one of the greater Rick and Morty ones. And this last week, I'm really excited for this one that is coming up tonight.
Multiverse.
The multiverse theory, like this is why I like Rick and Morty so much, is because it's so crazy.
Well, it makes fun of why it's exposing why multiverse stories are stupid.
Exactly. Infinite timelines with infinite universes, infinite possibilities. Nothing would matter. Absolutely nothing would matter, especially if you can travel between time and multiverses. And that's why, like in Rick and Morty, they're just like, we screwed up. Oh well, let's
that's
just jump.
the premise.
Let's
Like
just jump to a random timeline where everything worked out, but an asteroid came down and killed both Rick and Morty, and we'll just jump into their shoes. We haven't skipped a beat. Like they do that multiple times. They even say they do that multiple times throughout the show. It's just once you open up time. See, my kids are breaking down the door. They come in. My baby boy.
I agree. Unless the show is explicitly built around time travel, I do not like time travel in my
Hey,
shows.
Mommy.
Can you say hi, Brad?
Yeah. Again, to me, this show, better even than season 1 and better than any of the rest of the stuff, has made it seem like they have an idea of what they're going to do. Doesn't mean that you're not going to find loopholes, just like you find loopholes in Back to the Future and things like that. But this is the best that they've done with it, which may not be saying much, but it makes me feel better about it.
Okay. Well, I may have to check it out. Mark Clark, several comments ago, said he's glad that he no longer has Disney Plus. I've got 2 weeks left of Disney Plus.
I have 2 weeks left of David's Disney Plus.
Which is exactly enough.
I'm going to keep it
Loki, so
because of the catalog,
it.
if nothing else. For me, like I've got all the Star Wars on there.
That's
I've got
why
all
I held
the
off
good
on
Marvels on there.
so
I've got
long,
all these
but
other.
I'm
it's
not
us.
enjoying any new stuff they're putting out. So I canceled my subscription. I'm sorry.
Do you see Uncle Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I gotta go be up
because
there.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, Mark Clark, stop. But yes.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
I don't know. I haven't gotten connected enough to the
Yeah,
light
he has
for
to
me
be a
for that to be
daddy.
too big of a deal. But yeah,
It's fantastic. It's one of the best moments. Yeah, get out of here. Go
Good
be
to have
dad.
you on, Corn.
All right.
See you guys. Bye.
and I think I'm going to check out.
Bye,
another,
Olivia.
Loki's kind of the only thing that I was able to bring to the table besides, hey, now I'm talking Lightbringer, except that you guys are a lot further along in Lightbringer, so I have nothing else.
You're
to add
on
that.
book 2, you said?
No, I'm like barely. I'm,
Oh, you just
I'm
started?
almost halfway into book 1. Yeah, so I just started like last night
Yeah.
or the night before.
It's so good though. I'm glad you're
It's a
reading
good
it.
adventure.
It's really
So
good.
okay, here's kind of a totally different diversion, but something I've been trying to consider, because I've been so terrible about actually sitting down and reading books, even though I want to read books, actually read the physical books for the first time.
Yeah.
So should I, with the Wheel of Time, just embrace it and start listening to the audiobooks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I might end up
13
doing that.
books, my bro.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think
Just do the audiobooks. It's fine.
look,
My,
there's
my intention is I've always been such a and like when I come across like words when you're putting something like Andros Guile, I'm like, oh, that's how that's what I mean. Andros Guile.
That's how it's spelled,
But, like
yeah.
some of them are just like I'd have had no idea.
Here's
like,
the thing with the Wheel of Time, there are so many locations and characters. Even reading it, like you're gonna lose track.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can audiobook it and read it faster, that it might actually be a better experience.
One suggestion I have though is download a world map. And
Yes.
so whenever they say the name
yeah.
of a place, look on that world map and say,
I-
okay.
I
that's what
used
we're talking
to-
about. That is-
And
I
when you
used
get
to, as a
there-
kid, I would always be going through the world maps, regardless of whether it like made any
Yeah.
difference. Like literally, it'd be like, oh, and then we went around a bend in the river, and I'd look at the map and be like, oh, look, there's a bend in the river. Like I can see that. Like the
Yeah.
Aragon books was one where I did that quite a bit. I remember going through, and it didn't matter. It wasn't important to the plot of the books where they were on the map, but I loved it so much, and I haven't been able to do that very much lately. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
I will just
gotta go
remember
through it, too.
just remember that there's a difference between Damane and Damane.
okay,
It's pronounced exactly the same, and one is referring to like a nationality, and the other is referring to slaves. So
okay. All right, I'll try to keep that in mind. Yeah, the whites is another one that I've had to pay a little bit more attention to because there's the white, and then there's these green whites and blue whites and
And then
all
the
these
color
other
white,
like
yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah,
There's white spelled with an H and with WIGHT. Yeah.
See,
That
that's what I was thinking. Is like
that
I'm
is
not
like-
going to be able to
yeah.
catch that because even though, like to your point, like even if you were reading it, you're going to lose track of the characters. At the very least, I have that like even if I don't have what it sounds like in my head, I'm like,
Right,
that clump of letters is one that I connected with at this point in time, so I can connect it a little bit better rather than like
No,
hearing
yeah,
a word
it
or
was
name, and I'm like,
obviously
oh, wait,
it's
what was that one?
obviously
Yeah.
easier to keep track of the disambiguation if you've read it, but
Yeah.
it's also easier if you can read it faster. So I'm saying like it's a
Yeah.
trade-off. Like you'll
See, and for me, it's more just the ability to sit down and read, like the time to sit down and
Right.
actually read,
yeah.
more than anything. Because I'm able to read relatively quickly when I'm sitting down to read. It's just the finding the time to sit down and read. So
Right.
yeah, I'm excited for it. Like that's why I want to use audiobooks for review, not for first time through. But I might just have to embrace it. I've done a handful of other series that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to listen to this. Why did I listen to that instead of reading it the first time? I don't know, but I just did. And then there's other ones where I'm like hung up. I'm like, no, I want to make sure I read this for the first time. So
Right.
I'm going to keep doing that with the Brandon Sanderson Secret Projects. I want to actually read those, especially because I have the nice books. But and I kind of want to do it with Stormlight Archive as well. But those are also huge books, and I need to make sure that I'm not. I can't reread those ones. I need to listen to those ones for the review. So yeah, that is true. Except then phones came along, and those suck a lot of time.
There's ebooks too. You can read your ebook on your phone, but the audiobook you can take wherever, whether you're on the toilet or doing dishes or on the commute.
Yep.
That's great.
Toilet time for me is dedicated to forcing myself to watch YouTube shorts so that I'm caught up in the cultural zeitgeist.
There you go. All right, for real though, I gotta go. So
okay.
All right.
Well, I think we're down. Really,
we might as well, because I gotta get going.
Well, you had nerd news, but I guess that
anyway,
can hold off.
Snow White got delayed. Snow White got delayed by an entire year because they're gonna reshoot the whole thing.
Hey, but that was better though. That was better.
Everything's delayed,
look! They're CGI dwarves now because because they'll get in trouble if they hire real dwarves, and also if they don't. So no one gets a job now. Yep. Thanks, Peter Dinklage.
I bet you though that Peter Dinklage still voices one of those CGI.
I was gonna say maybe that's how they were trying to introduce him though. Is just be like, hey, these are the voices of these characters.
Well, dude, it was not clear in the marketing.
All I gotta say is SAG-AFTRA, stay strong. You just keep striking. I never want this strike to end until you get what you deserve. So you're just fighting. Just keep fighting, and I really hope you all lose your jobs.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Check out David's channel. Bye, Bearded. Everyone's leaving. I guess it's a short stream today.
Oh shucks! All right.
Oh shucks! I mean, we got through most of it. There's just a couple other news stories, really.
Yeah. Well, if you guys want to do it, have fun. Bye.
I'm gonna go watch. I'm gonna go watch I Spy. Okay, I love that movie.
You should go watch Loki.
No. No. I tried to watch it today. Okay, I couldn't do it.
Weeks.
I'll skim. Yeah.
Okay. My wife would be proud to hear you say that.
It's just, it's not as bad. I grant it is better than a lot of the stuff that Marvel has been putting out. I just don't care anymore. It's their fault. Like honestly, if this was one of the first shows, like I might be invested in it more. But I'm just so done. I'm so done. Yeah,
I agree. It's definitely hard for me to be like, oh, I want to watch this.
Yeah, you can talk about Lightbringer for a little bit if you want, man. Oh, it's so good. Oh yeah, when the white dies. And you're starting book 4, and I want to say things I can't. Oh, so good, so good. Tysus is the best.
You can go back and watch our this is super long stream that we talked about, and nobody watched. Nobody was watching. We're just like, hey, we're going to talk about this anyway.
There were 0 viewers when we started talking about Lightbringer because we had to kick out the viewers because we had to kick out Mark Clark because he hadn't read the books yet.
I know, right? So Mark Clark, you go watch a portion of that and then stop it. You got to stop it and be like, okay, this is where I've read to. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The ending of book 3. Real good. Oh, we can talk about the ending of book 3 now, Mark. Wow, right? It was the Gavin. What's the other? Oh man, it's been so long. Gavin and not Gavin. What's Gavin's brother's name?
Gavin and not Damien. Gavin and oh
What's
my
his name?
gosh,
Why can't I remember? It's I need a refresher. Giles.
yeah, it's like Damon or no.
Dazen.
I was close.
Dazen.
I was close.
I got it. I pulled it up the second that you commented. It came up at the same time. It's delayed. We get so, but
Look at the chat.
yeah, we get the chat just a couple like 30 seconds later. Yeah, Gavin Dazen Gavin. Isn't that reveal just? Oh
Yeah. So this is the real reveal when he's at the end of where he's in the.
well yeah. So book 3 he
Is
gets
this one where he shoots the.
book 3 he gets put. Well, he shoots him in book 2, which is
Oh, you're right.
phenomenal. Just goes in,
Yeah.
bah, 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 and then in book 3 he gets put in his own prison at the very end.
Yeah. Right.
And then he's like stuck in there with his dead brother's body.
That's when the mind trip starts. You're like,
Oh,
wait,
it gets
what
nuts.
is going on?
It gets nuts, and then book 4 is like, oh man, this is even more nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the biggest twists where you're like, wait, what?
Well, I love that they finally brought the prisons back, because like I was looking forward to I'd like book 1 set up this like structure of that. Okay, each book it's going to be Dazen escaping from a different color prison and Gavin losing one additional power, and I'm like, oh, I really like that's a fun structure, right? It's methodical, and then book 2 just ruins it.
And then he shot him. Yeah,
it ruins. I literally could have just read a whole series about him escaping from each prison, right? Book 2 ruins it in a wonderful, wonderful way. But then book 3, I'm so glad that it ended that way, because I'm like, yes, we get to do the prisons again. Yeah, Marissa and the White's granddaughter. Oh yeah, that's the reveal. That's the reveal of book 3. Ooh, that's a heavy one. That's a heavy reveal where she literally just turned herself into a slave. Because for just dedication to the craft, right? And I really like that story. Like she genuinely loves Gavin, or I mean Gazdin. I don't know. It's just great series.
Yeah, but that's definitely a book series that you should not be reading in elementary school.
No. See, that doesn't belong in schools.
No.
Okay, it's too sexy for school.
Yeah, it's definitely a college read, probably. Yeah.
College, yeah. I wouldn't assign that to high schoolers. It's not appropriate.
Yeah, no. It's a really well written story, but it's definitely not something you should.
Also, high schoolers are not going to understand the themes either. Like, just if you even not talking about the appropriateness of it, there's just themes that are going to go over people's heads.
Yeah,
like you kind of, I can't imagine reading this book when I was younger. I wouldn't have liked it. I think I would have liked the magic, and then when it actually got into like the philosophy and religion stuff, I was like, oh, this is boring as heck. But because there's so much better to read as an adult. Yeah,
I agree. But good. I'm glad you're reading it, Mark Clark, and thanks for trying to derail the conversation.
Yeah,
can't wait to.
It was a wild stream. Oh well, next week. Oh man, I'm so scared. I'm so scared because there were already signs of wokeness. There was Invincible season 1 had a lot of woke stuff in it that I did not like.
Oh, is that coming out next week?
This week. We can watch Invincible season 2, baby. I'm very excited. I'm also terrified because
The trailer looked okay.
the worst thing possible is to have like a successful season 1 that goes under the radar, and then, oh wait, this is a good thing that people like. Oh, let's take it in season 2. We'll make it suck because we'll put in all of our garbage. So I'm terrified and excited.
Valid fear.
I really hope it's not garbage. Because, I mean, that's it. Like we talked, what have we gotten this year? One Piece. One Piece is fine. I don't think that One Piece is perfect. I don't think it's 10 out of 10. I think it's a solid 7. I loved it. I enjoyed it. What have we gotten? Anything this year? I mean, Oppenheimer was okay. I have a lot of complaints about Oppenheimer.
I didn't get to watch that one.
What? Mission Impossible was fun. It's not nearly as good as the last one.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
This has been the most boring year of my life, and it's been saved by Audible. Okay, so sponsor me. No, I don't want Amazon. I don't want your money, Amazon. I only get some of my books through Amazon, through Audible.
The secret comes out.
Where do they come from? I'm not gonna say. All right, we'll see you next week.
All right. All right. You guys have a good evening then.
Yep. We're only streaming to one person again because Lightbringer. So, bye, everybody. Bye. Thanks for doing this. Love you, Jared.
You too.
Ciao.
Ciao. Cheers.
And now it is time to say goodbye.
We had a great conversation.
It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end, and the goodest ending I can think of is
right now, this moment, this night.
So I guess we just say goodbye.
So, goodbye.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day. But come back next week for more outrageous bloopers.
This is the end.
Well, there's only one thing left to do.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.